Good evening.
Good evening.
And how are you this evening?
I am driving,
Okay.
heading home. How are you this evening?
I am really good. Just dealing with a little bit of allergies. Yes. But I am good. I am good. I am good.
That's the way it goes sometimes.
Yeah. Yes, yes, yes. Good evening, Ebony. How are you?
Good evening. I'm good. How are you?
Good
I
evening,
am
Ebony. How are you?
God.
Good evening.
I am good. Just dealing with a little bit of allergies, a little bit.
Um,
Other than that, I am good.
Hope you feel better.
Thank you.
So, how was your week?
My week was a little bit trying in terms of, again, having to put tools into effect. But I am getting there bit by bit. And how about yours?
It was. It was. It was good. It was just like coming into certain realizations and certain
Yes.
acceptances. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yes. Yes.
So it's just like every day. It's just taking it day by day and just doing the best that you can.
Every day is a new opportunity to apply what you have learned, essentially.
Very true. Very
Every
true.
day is a new opportunity to apply what you have learned. Or else you are just coming on for coming on sake. Because once you have the wisdom, life will always present the opportunity for you to apply it. And it is
Very true.
within that space, there is where the difference lies. That is where you really have the choice to either continue as you are and continue to complain, continue to be sad, continue to be depressed, or choose a different path, make a different choice for yourself. Or else, again, years passing by, you have the same goals, and you keep wondering why that is. So, essentially, you really have to put everything into practice. And if you don't put it into practice, the opportunity coming back, and it will be a lot more amplified than it previously was. So, whereas before it might have been a primary school lesson, now it has morphed into a university lesson. So, you have a lot more to deal with, a lot more complications. And that is really what happens. And we don't realize it at all until we are in it. And then we're wondering, but how I end up here? Because you deferred the earlier lesson. So now you have to deal with the university lesson. And the university lesson on a totally, totally different level, scale, weight, demand, every single solitary thing. Usually those lessons require a lot more effort. And as we are talking about lessons, as it relates to tonight's topic, we have all experienced what we call failure, or what we thought would have happened did not happen, or the goals we have set, we did not achieve it. And when that happens, what is usually your next step? How do you face it? So you had this major thing that you were holding on for, that you were hoping for. You thought that you had the steps. You thought you were sure that you would get it done, that you would achieve it. You did not achieve it, and now you are faced with everything that comes in that moment and afterwards. But first, how does that moment make you feel?
I think a lot of times that's where we tend to beat up on ourselves, especially if you think you was working on the lesson
Yeah.
and then you have to redo it when you thought that I'm out of this phase. I passed this level, and then you realize that I'm here again. What's going on? So one of the things I think is important is, again, not beat up on yourself, because the fact that you could identify the lesson, that's a big step in itself. So it's just, like you're riding a bike, you fall off, you get back on, you fall off, you get back on. So that's just it. There's no failure. There's just growth. So from the what you might consider failure, before, where you might have said, okay, well, I'm able to do step number one, and then you fall. So then okay, I know now what step number one is. So I'll be able to, deal with that and just deal with step number two after. So
But when we
it's just
experience it, do we really feel like, okay, get up and go again? Or do we feel like,
nah, so then you go through that whole phase of beating up on yourself. But then it's when you get to that place, that's when you really have to realize that if you stay in that place, then you're just being stuck. But it's just to come to that realization that I fell, and it's time to, sometimes when you fall, it's be like a shock. But once it wear off, you realize it's time to, get up, dust off, and keep going, because what you're gonna do, give up?
well, some of us definitely give up. That is why I'm asking the question of, when you experience that, what was your next step?
Yeah, but when you give up, I think for me, when I think about giving up, that's like not living. You know what I mean? Because everything in life is, you're gonna have some type of challenge, and if that's the case, then you wouldn't even be where you're at today, because you'd have give up from, day one. We fall off the bike, oh, I give up.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just seeing everything for what it is, as a learning curve. You fall down, you deal with the shock of falling off the bike because you thought you had it under control,
Mm-hmm.
and then you realize, well, all right, let me dust myself off, may check to see maybe the balance wheel wasn't on as tightly as it should have been, make adjustments, and keep going.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Catherine, I'm seeing that you have your hand raised.
Let me just get my technology to work for me right now. Lisa, I understand what you are saying. And I had an experience about 2 weeks ago where you know you thought you were doing better than, and in within me I had a certain benchmark. And when I now, like I said, within me I had a certain benchmark, and a certain activity would have confirmed for me, a certain activity would have confirmed whether I had met the benchmark, yes or no. And of course, I interpreted it as not meeting the benchmark. So for a while, although I could recognize that I should not go there and I should, all the shoulds. I shouldn't go there. I should quickly move. Okay, you know what they say? Okay, you feel a little disappointed, You're allowed to have your feelings and then move quickly out of that space. But it took me much longer than I felt I should have stayed. And it took me back a bit in terms of entertaining again doubt, self-doubt. And for about 3 to 4 days, I had to work the tools, work the techniques, work on myself to, to climb out of that space where the 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 desire to have hit that benchmark and realizing that I didn't hit it, that sort of feeling and self-questioning, and you're questioning yourself, but you're questioning yourself, as you said, Lisa, you can't give up and you can't afford to stay where your feelings have taken you, because you're going through the tools again and you're saying, okay, this is that, and you're actually identifying the spaces, and so you know where you should not allow yourself to go or stay. But in the off chance that you went, that you have to move quickly out of that spot, even if you have to claw your way to your toolbox and drag out a tool of any kind to help you get out of where it was. Because I knew that if I stayed in that space, it would be like just tumbling down the mountainside, and you might as well fall off the face of the earth, because you would go too far. And it would be like losing momentum, losing work that you've already done on yourself. And it would be like, yeah, like you said, Lisa, it would be like dying. You don't have an option. That's not an option. That was not an option. So it was a question of, okay, sit down and identify, where do you think you got distracted? And what could you have done differently if you're faced with the situation? Again, where do you place your focus, as opposed to, okay, wallowing and going back into, I was really starting to spiral, and I had to recognize that very quickly, that old, old traps were trying to show up again. And so it was a question of keep your focus on where you want to be. That was my approach. You don't go back. Don't even look. Don't try to quit trying to analyze why you didn't. It was just a question of, if you stay focused on where you want to be and work from there, then you would soon be either where you want to be, or you'll be back on track where you want to be. But so that is how I had to deal with it for that week. And like two things collided at the same time. So it was like a kind of shake within me. It was not a pleasant space, because it brought back some old what I would call insecurities. So I had to quickly banish them again and say, talk it through, but this time with the tools and with the techniques, and work out of there, and to be able to separate how I felt about it with, okay, you're allowed to feel that, but you're not allowed to stay there, and it's time to go where you really want to go. So do not even let the feeling now be an additional distraction from where you want to go. So that is how I dealt with it, and continued to work in that space. Yeah.
Initially, when I asked the question, this is why I asked the question. Because for all of us, not most of us, we all experience what you just explained in great detail in terms of what you thought and what the results were was something different. And a lot of times we think about it as a failure. But when you really look at life, what really is a failure? Because at the end of the day, all the experiences come to teach you lessons in that moment. And the lesson sometimes is not a personal attack on you in terms of, a lot of times when we say we experience failure, the first thing that we do is we guilt ourselves and we talk very, very negatively about ourselves. A lot. That is always the first step. I was having a conversation as well with a cousin who was saying that he would call himself stupid. He would even call himself stupid, and I'm telling him, I trying to understand, and I was talking to him and I was saying, but why would you even call yourself stupid in that moment? Because we tend to think a lot of times after we come out of school, learning has finished. So that whatever experience I'm supposed to be an expert at. So if I'm still in school, a child that learning, the child still learning in school. And when it comes to life in general, you would expect that you should always know better. But every day you're learning something new. Every day you're experiencing something new. Every day is a new opportunity to learn. But we don't see it as that. We see it as we're out of school. I should know what is best. I should be what is best. And that is usually not the case. Because every day you are learning something. Because every day, sometimes, not every day, but frequently you would encounter things and situations that you never encountered before. So how would you even know how to deal with it? Because usually the first encounter is not the best encounter, and especially when you experience something that is really, really traumatic. And traumatic could be different for a lot of people. Some people deal with death differently, some people deal with bullying differently, some people deal with abandonment differently, but it's all based on perception and how you see it. And even recently, let me see if I could find it quickly, where we had a post talking about the ebbs and flow of life is natural. But we usually don't see it as natural. We always think that something is terribly wrong and something is going wrong with me and I need to do something different. But everything that you are experiencing is certainly for a reason, even if you may not understand where the reason is at the point in time. Because the ebbs and flow, they are always going to come. Okay, I found it. So let me share my screen so that you all could also see what I am reading as well. All right. So this is the post, and it says, life unfolds with both joy and sorrow as a natural order. To feel sorrow is human, but to dwell in it is a decision. In that decision lies our strength, the power of the mind to observe, endure, and rise, not by running away from pain, but by mastering the self through it. So let me just read the last part again. In that decision lies our strength, the power of the mind to observe, endure, and rise, not by running away from pain, but by mastering the self through it. So everything that you are experiencing is an opportunity, but a lot of times we don't see it as that. A lot of times we see it as the end of the world. We think that we alone are experiencing this, not realizing that we have all been through similar things, similar situations, and experiencing difficulty and challenges. It is part of life. It is to build your resilience. But we tend to not see that aspect at all. You tend to think, woe is me. Whereas this was supposed to be a challenge. I was supposed to overcome this mountain. I'm going to make this mountain my friend. Let me build up my house here. Let me just remain here. This is the end. But had you had that mindset as a child growing up, then where would you be right now? Would you be stuck in some form in pre K or in kindergarten or something if you had that same mindset? When everything is coming, everything is happening for you to be stronger. Sometimes, just as Katrin explained, you think you're out of the space, but when you sit another situation comes to let you know, okay, I have a little bit more things that I might need to work on a little bit in this corner, and that is also okay because it is your opportunity to expand. Every day we are living and we are expanding, but yet sometimes we think that everything's supposed to remain the same. When you look around at life, you look around at nature, nature is constantly changing. Right now, with everything that's happening in the Arctic, all the animals as well, they are trying to adapt. Don't know if you see all the pictures with the polar bears and all of them, they are trying to adapt. Yet we think that everything shouldn't be remain the same to accommodate us. That will not happen. It's is not going to be a smooth paved road all the time and sprinkles and ice cream. It is not. So that is why you really have to take everything one step at a time and deal with the things as they come. Yes, Katrin, I'm seeing that you have your hand raised.
I was just going to say that that is one of the posts that helped me to pull out.
Okay. Okay. Yes. Usually you would find a lot of the and especially if you go into the app, you would get even greater detailed readings on that topic because it really is to help you to move forward and push forward because the things that you are experiencing is for your growth. But even after okay, so say now you're in the situation where you experience whatever it is, it could be trauma, it could be pain, it could be what Katrin just explained. Then what is your next step? Yes, you might be down and out for a little bit, but then what is generally your next step to move to the next level? Because we have all experienced what we think is quote unquote failure, but then you realize that there really is no failure, you know. There are just lessons, there are challenges to overcome in life. So, what do you do after you decide, okay, this has happened, now what is my next step? Anastasia, are you there?
Yes, I am. Good night.
Night. So, when you experience difficulty, or even when you think, okay, the rug has been pulled from under me, how do you proceed?
How do I proceed?
Hmm.
Well, you have to. I normally would ask questions. I will have a lot of questions. And as I ask questions, I also get the answer. It is like my soul is waiting to give me the answer,
Hmm.
not my mind. I don't take answers from my mind at all. Taking answers from my mind will just have you in a ball of confusion. So I wait to get the peaceful answers. I accept them. And yes, the last question is where do I go from here?
Okay.
But sometimes, according to what it is you say, Catherine said, sometimes you will know what is the lesson that you have to learn in this situation. And you tell yourself, yes, I learned my lesson. And as you tell yourself that another situation similar is going to come up to see if you really learn your lesson. And I find myself without balance when I learn my lesson. So, like, take for instance, let us say I learn the lesson that year and I decide here what? I'm not letting nobody walk all over me again. So all of a sudden, so I get feisty. I just not taking no stupidness from nobody. So after a while now, I have to find my middle ground. It's like I will move from one extreme to the next extreme, and then I have to start working on the middle ground because I mean you don't want to be you're out of control one way, and then you're going to the extreme out of control the next way, and I have to try to find the middle ground. So that is how it is go for me normally, from one extreme to the next, and then finding the middle ground.
Okay. And then finding the middle ground, I guess what you're explaining now is functioning from neutrality. Understanding that
Mm.
things will happen, but you really have to function from a neutral space because just as Anastasia was just explaining, if you are too extreme, then you're going to get some different results that you may not want to. But you see, when you're in a space of, okay, people taking advantage, and then you move out of that space, now you're in the space of, I am lashing out at everybody who come. I do not care. Do not interfere with me. Then you would also get some unwanted results as well. So you really have to function from a neutral space. It is difficult getting up and dusting yourself off. It is not an easy thing. Just as Katrin was explaining, it took her a while. Some things take time. She might get out of it in 2 days. Some people might get out of it in 2 months. Because somebody get out of it in 2 days does not mean that you also have to do the same thing. And that is why it is important to really determine what is required for you as an individual. Because what would work for one may not necessarily work for all. So, Melissa, are you there? Marissa, are you there?
Oh, yes, I'm Melissa, so I didn't realize it was me.
Sorry, and after I said it, I said, wait, I think I called the wrong, yes. The wrong variation of the M. Yes, I apologize. How are you?
I'm all right.
And in instances where you have encountered difficulty, how did you deal with it? How did you overcome?
So my natural tendency in any difficult situation is to withdraw from people and process things. And it's not as though I'm going any deep end. I'm basically internalizing my emotions or whatever the circumstances were and trying maybe to analyze it and see what went wrong and how to prevent a recurrence.
Okay.
And in terms of overcoming, if it's a little bit too much, I tend to write about it just to get it out of my system because I generally don't like talking about problems.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
But that's just my method of coping. And of course, if it's a lot, I would also do a lot of cleaning. So I have to do some physical activity to overcome whatever that difficult situation has caused. It goes without saying. Somehow cleaning is the first thing that I tend to do. And if not that, I will exercise a little bit more.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Yes, it's a bit unusual in terms of how to
It is
process and react.
actually it is not because just as I said, remember this is based on an individual basis. So what would work for you may not work for others. So you see, when you working out or when you cleaning, in that moment you're putting things in order. So sometimes when life tends to get heavy, some of us tend to put things. We need the environment that we are in to be in order to function, in order to move on first. That is also a strategy that some of us use. We put it in order. And after you dust yourself off, you always have to remember you have to identify what is the problem or see what is underlying that caused the issue. So after you identify what it is and what is underlying that caused this, then what is your next step after that? What do you think the next step is?
Telling yourself how not to let it happen again.
Well, yes, and in doing so, what you have to do is you really have to maintain focus.
Correct.
Because what do we do easily? We get distracted. So the ice cream truck pass outside, we are distracted. Something happens in the news, we are distracted. Your neighbor played music too loud, we are distracted. There is traffic on the road to and from work, we get distracted very, very, very easily. and you really, really have to maintain your focus. So what do you want? A lot of times when people are asked that question, they sit stunned and they look at you. And for all of you who are in here this evening, do you all know what you want?
A peaceful existence, definitely. Because at this stage in life, I don't want to be bothered by too many negative things. And yes, we understand that life brings its challenges and all these different things, but you don't want to have to dwell on it.
No, no. And it is based on how you respond, because again, life, it is going to ebb and it is going to flow. And that is really why Befitment is really here to teach people that there really is a different way to live. And a lot of times, and no fault to anyone, but you just don't know. And that is all that there is. You honestly just did not know in the moment. Okay, I could have made a different choice. And you don't have to guilt yourself because of it either. You really don't have to guilt yourself because of it, because you don't know. And the choices that you would have made 10 years ago, would you make the same choices now? No, because you learn something different. And then you learn to be more efficient, more effective. You learn to function with more order, more structure throughout your day. And you also learn to adapt to what works best for you as an individual again. You have to find out what works for you as an individual. What would work for Lisa would not work for Kadisha. What would work for Amalisa would not work for Kim. So you really have to determine what is best for you. Just as Katrin just explained what is best, and also Marissa explained what is best, you also have to determine what works best. Even Anastasia explained what works best for her. You also have to find out what works best for you in the moment. Mr. SGL, are you there? All right. So he probably is not very close to his phone right now. So even as you maintain your focus, we're not hearing you. We're not hearing at all now. All right. Okay, so even as sorry about that, because I know usually we could hear and everything. I'm not sure what's happening. Even as you know what you want now, how do you maintain your focus? Because a lot of times you might maintain it for today, and then tomorrow it is a different story. So how do you really maintain your focus? After you experience the failure, you dust yourself off, you identify what the issue is now, and you're about to refocus and move on. But how do you maintain it? Ebony, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
In instances where you had to focus, how were you able to maintain it and not let it drop off, as it tends to do sometimes? Hello? All right, so we're not hearing Ebony. Lisa, I'm seeing that you have your hand raised.
Yeah, hello, could you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I think one of the key ways to maintain your focus is by being present.
Okay.
Always kind of coming back to the present to get to that neutral space. And because a lot of times when you get flustered, you can't receive messages, you can't think, you can't, decipher anything. So you have to come back to that space where you're at peace, at calm, take deep breaths and just be one with yourself. And then from there, you'll be able to then think more logically, therefore receiving the messages and then kind of refocusing,
Okay.
being purposeful, being just deliberate and sitting with yourself and getting back to where you were, and even if it means starting where you are presently, like you fall off your bike, it's okay. But, you made it 1 mile, you're trying to go 5 miles, you made it 1 mile down.
Yes.
Start from the 1 mile and continue along the journey. You don't have to go back to the starting point. So just bringing yourself back to present.
Okay. And starting from where you are.
Yeah.
Okay. Anastasia, I'm seeing that you had your hand raised next.
What it is you wanted to find out?
After you have experienced the failure or the challenge, you dust yourself off. How do you
Okay.
maintain your focus? Because a lot of times you might maintain it for a day and then you fall off again. How do you maintain it?
Well, for me, I don't know if this is the right way, but I don't ever forget the pain. So you see, remembering that pain, I know I'm not going back there again. I do not know if it is the right way, but that keeps me focused.
Okay. 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 All right. So the experience itself keeps you focused, where in terms of, okay, I know I don't want to experience this again, so I have to maintain this. Yes? All right, I don't know if Anastasia closed her phone. Yes, Catherine, I'm seeing that you also have your hand raised.
I'm laughing because I am partially Anastasia. Um, Even though I don't think that is the best approach for me, but it's almost like you know that this is where you want to go. This is where I want to be. This is this is it. This is the picture. And I do remember when the picture got blurry and I didn't like the feeling how I felt. And so to maintain the focus is so two things for me is to know where I want to go. This is where I want to be. And I really would sometimes use that past experience, what was where you fell down, to know that, okay, when you see these things coming again, these are things that could derail you. These are things that could derail me. And so to pay attention. So if you see them coming, then you know you have to be even more mindful of what is going on and where you want to be. And what are the things that could keep you where you want to be and keep you on that track, as opposed to, so that's why I say I kind of somewhere in between Anastasia, but I use them as understanding that this is what you did last time that caused you to fall off or go in a different direction. And so you have to be mindful that these distractions, if you see them coming again, they might look different, but at the core, they're the same kind of distraction. And therefore, to be mindful in that situation and focus, really focus on where you want to go and pick the things that will keep you heading in the direction that you want to go.
Yes. And you see, all of these things, you could really, these are examples of what you can utilize to maintain your focus. So we could even start in Marissa's case in terms of she would write, she would exercise. Because let me tell you, exercise is something, and especially for me, I am in front of the line when I say this. It is difficult to maintain. I am in front the line as I am saying this. Physical activity, it is not something that was my friend for a lot of years. So now that Befitment has these sessions on a Tuesday and Thursday, I ensure that I utilize it, and it is in utilizing it you're realizing the importance of it, because exercise is something that is overlooked because of course it requires effort. It requires effort to maintain it to even get through the session. And our sessions are full body sessions, so we would have a lot of different circuits, or she would do a lot of different things. And it is something that we overlook, but it is necessary to maintain your full being. And Befitment focuses on full being, which is soul, mind, body. It is necessary to maintain your full being, because I'm very sure Marissa could attest to this. You could be going through what and experiencing what, and you would exercise, take a bath, go and sleep, get up, and you would be crystal clear.
Correct.
Exercise, for some reason, tends to bring some clarity, especially when your mind is muddled. I don't know if it's the focus during the session, the tiredness after, and also it is one of the most, after you exercise, the sleep that you would get. It is one of the best sleep that you would get, especially even after the beach too. After going to the beach is another example of when you would get really good sleep. But I am telling you, if you are not doing it, it is something to just consider. It could be for 10 minutes, it could be for however long, but it does help, and you do not recognize it until you start it. Your energy as well is lifted, because before I started, I am always tired, exhausted. I would reach home and just collapse. The weekend comes, I can't do anything because I sleep the whole weekend. So now things have changed. So it is definitely something to consider. The exercise, journaling, and guys, before you even attempt to do anything, remember your breath. Remember to breathe. Right now, need to apologize because my allergies is a bit irritated and agitated. But when you experience whatever, before you even move off, remember to move off with clarity first. So even through whatever you experience, and you might be feeling the sadness, might be feeling anger, you might be feeling a whole set of emotions, but before you move off, take a breath. Take a few breaths. Ask what is the next step. So you dust yourself off. You ask what is the next step. When the thought comes of what the next step is. Another thing too, because even I think as Anastasia was explaining, she said she would ask a lot of questions. And when it comes, she would do it. But a lot of times the solution comes and we don't want it. We look at the solution and we think, I don't want to do this. I don't feel like doing this. So then how would you get help? Remember, life is not about what you think it should be. Life is about what is best for you in the moment. So a lot of times you're thinking, I'm not feeling to deal with this right now because it's not wrapped a particular way. It doesn't come in the way that you expected it to come. And because of that, you don't pay attention to it altogether, not realizing that the solution is wrapped in there. Or sometimes you just keep your hands off altogether because of fear and doubt. And sometimes the thing that you are most fearful of is the door that you need to go through to get to the other side. And then getting to the other side, you see, that is where your resilience is built and your confidence is built. But if you don't do it, then how will you get there? I even have a cousin, she is in her 20s. She had one bad experience with riding a bike, and to this day, she cannot ride a bike and she does not want to hear anything about it. I tried to convince her, she has made her mind up. Do not be like my cousin. She is not interested. And the thing is, one experience, and I'm not saying negative because everything is for your growth and for your benefit. But one experience that was unwanted does not determine the rest of your experiences. It does not determine the rest of your life. That was just one experience. If you continue letting these one off experiences limit you, you would live the rest of your life. Your existence would be very limited because you're letting one situation define the rest of your life. Imagine this one situation was probably 30 seconds, and you are going to let 30 seconds define how much more years you have, 50, 60 years to live. And you're still doing that. You could make the choice to do it, or you could make the choice to, okay, no, I am releasing this and adopting something new. But if you let this one 30-second experience determine the rest of your life, then what kind of life would you be experiencing? At every stage, at every corner, there would be a limit placed. Imagine walking around to every corner with a brick on your shoulder. And with every corner that you experience something else, you add another brick. So you're living your whole life just weighed down. And weighed down by what? As I usually say, the people, they don't go on, they have the time of the life. They're probably in Thailand or Belize or Dominican Republic having the best time. And sometimes you hear thinking about it, and let me tell you, when I told you, remember I said usually with negativity, when you're having certain thoughts, they would go and it would come back amplified. So today I'm driving, and sometimes you know it have certain things spinning in your mind, right? Spinning. And sometimes you don't even realize, because of your pattern, you don't even realize that it is. So I am driving on the highway, and a van speeds up to take over a car, and as he speeds up, a stone hits my windscreen, packs. And that sound snapped me out of that thought so fast. And sometimes you don't even realize how simple it is to attract negativity. And it is,
Can you all hear me now?
yes.
Oh, hi. Good evening.
Good
I,
evening.
I was here. So good to hear you. You said something that just reminded me of something else in terms of about those few seconds of
Uh-huh.
experience, and sometimes we go back to it. I'm sorry, I may be long-winded, but bear with me. There's a story about, I don't know if you all are familiar with Charlie Chaplin. He was like a comedian in the days of silent pictures.
Mm-hmm.
And they said he got onto the scene, the stage, and he said a joke that was very funny. And he stayed and he repeated the same joke. The first couple times people laughed, right? And he said it a third time. By that point, people didn't laugh anymore because they already heard it. And what he said is that just just like you do not want to laugh at the joke, the same joke over and over and over, why do you spend time complaining about the same unfortunate event over and over and over? It isn't that you cannot complain. You complain, you actualize it, it is fact, right? You own it. But at what point do you let it go? And what tools might you need in order to let go? Because it's not going to do you any favor.
Yep.
It's not going to help you by going back and complaining and, oh, look at me, look at me. There's a point to own and there's a point to release. And that was the object of what he was sharing. So just wanted to share that based on what you said. Thank
Yes.
you.
Yes. Because just what is the point? I am telling you, once you stay in that space long, you attract more. Just as with me driving, simple, and you have this one thought, and the one thought is spinning. I tell you, the van just took off, and a stone just hit the windscreen. And then the last time that happened to me, why I was startled, because the last time that happened to me, my windscreen got a line. And then throughout the day, the line turned into a L. So the next day, they said, of course, Adana, that is a charge. So you have to call to see if you could get it either fixed or replaced. Now, if it is a line, it can be replaced. Once it curves, if it is a line, it could be fixed. Once it curves, you have to replace the whole windscreen. So when I heard that Pax, I saw all the money leaving my account to change his windscreen. So I changed that thought immediately. Immediately. And sometimes when you encounter these things, you do not realize it is the thoughts that you were holding that attracted the situation that you are currently in. So when you might get a pack on your windscreen, you might get a tap on your shoulder, you might get something. Stop the momentum of that thought, please. Entertain something, sing a song, dance, do something else in the moment. Because life would also bring us the opportunity also to practice what you have been learning. But if you get the opportunity again and you choose to remain as you are, remember when the results come, you have the results to deal with. Do not forget that when the results come, you have the results to deal with. So once you get the opportunity, do something else with your thoughts. Think about your intention, set your intention. What do you want to achieve? As we were talking about earlier in terms of focus. We are now at let me let you know, week 31. We are now at week 31 in 2025. 31 is not very far from 52. What else would you like to achieve for this year? You didn't even think that so much time has passed. Imagine 31 weeks. 31 weeks. What would you like to achieve? And even as we are talking about achieving, let me also share with you what the topics are for this week, because also we are still diving and delving deep into this same topic that we are discussing tonight. So we are discussing how to reset when your goals fail, which is what we are discussing right now. And from tomorrow on Tuesday, we would be discussing, and guys, remember, these discussions are very, very deep and detailed. And I would like to encourage those who attend to, if you have any questions, walk with your notepad, a pen, paper, write it down, and ask. So whatever questions you have, you would gain clarity, so that you would be very clear in terms of moving forward, setting clear intentions. So tomorrow we would be discussing the guilt trap, why guilt slows growth, blocks, and saps energy. So imagine these are the three aspects that guilt affects you in this way, but you don't even realize. So it slows your growth, it blocks you, and then it saps your energy, because guilt, it really has you feeling drained when you think about it. On Wednesday, of course, we still have our from 7 to 8 for premium members. You have the Fuel and Flex full body workout. So we sweat, smile, and thrive through our group fitness session. On Wednesday, we continue with the B Squad Java Teen Camp. And from 6 p.m., we will be also discussing living without guilt. So in terms of living in alignment with grace and discipline. So tomorrow we would be discussing how guilt traps you. And then on Wednesday, we would be discussing living without the guilt. On Thursday, we have the B Squad Java Teen Camp again. And from 6 p.m., we would be discussing how to rebuild with intention. So what to keep, what to drop, and what to evolve. Last week, we discussed discipline in great detail. So after that discussion, we would be looking at guilt, and then we would be looking at rebuilding after you come out of the space. So we would be looking at what to keep, what to drop, and what to evolve. So for those who are not premium members, if this is something that you are interested in, please let us know, because we all understand that guilt does trap you. And in order to get out of that space, we would assist those who are certainly interested in it. And guys, as I said, the Tuesday, Wednesdays, Thursdays, for those who log on, they can attest as well. It is not even as deep as the Mondays. It is very, very detailed. And any questions that they have, they gain clarity on it so that they can further expand themselves and understand with great details. Because a lot of times I tell you, it's these simple, simple things that you're missing and you're not even aware of it. Simple, simple little things that you're missing and you're not even aware of it a lot of times. The simplest things. You don't even know that your thoughts are affecting things that are going to come in 5 months. You don't even know your mindset affecting sometimes the energy around you, which affects the people around you. It has so many little things that you're missing, that you're not even aware of. So if it is something that you are interested in, please let us know. I'm seeing that we have 2 new people on tonight, Kadisha and Amalisa. Good evening, welcome.
Hi, good afternoon.
Hi, good
Hello,
evening.
hello. I hope to see you all more often, and I hope to see you all during the week as well, where we would discuss. Yes, I see somebody said even the way we define our words, most definitely, because a lot of these words we use, and we have no clue or understanding of what they really mean. So if you are definitely looking for something deeper, please reach out to us and let us know. Because you still have some time. Befitment is not going anywhere, of course. When I said some time, we're just talking about 2025. Befitment is not going anywhere. So if it is something that you are interested in, especially for this week, let us know, because you realize that each week is building on the week before. So last week we looked at discipline in great detail, and then this week we're looking at guilt. Because after you practice discipline, you really have to release the guilt in order to continue forward. Because if you don't release that guilt, you will be trapped. And sometimes you're feeling guilty because you see you're in a space and you have to leave a lot of these situations, persons, and even experiences behind. You have to release it. And having to move on without some persons would make you also feel guilty as well. And again, that is where the attachment is formed. Sometimes you're not ready to release the attachment, but you have to release it if you want to progress. And again, you are your greatest investment. So, how much do you want this thing that you say that you want? And how much effort are you willing to put within it in order to get what you would like to receive? And live the life that you would truly like to live in full freedom. But as with all things, it all depends on you. It all depends on you as an individual. But you have to really make the choice, because a lot of times, you see, if it's to support your friend, to support your kids, you would go all out and support them. But then when it's to support you and invest in you, you always put yourself on the back burner. Why do you think that is? If it's for your children, if you have to take a loan, if you have to go to the ends of the earth, if you have to borrow somebody's car, if you have to take your last and go and get whatever any grocery, you would move the earth to support them. But then when it comes to yourself, why don't you make that investment in you? Why do you think that is? Nobody has an answer. Do you think that is too much effort? It is
Plenty.
easier to support others than yourself?
Adana, there's plenty reasons why that could be. Could be that you don't tell yourself that you worthy of the effort that you give into other people. It
Okay.
could be that you are a people pleaser, you want people to like you, so you're doing it. You always want to be in a good place and a good space with people, so you do that. Probably because of what you were taught. You were taught that it is better to give than to receive. So you give of yourself and you look for nothing. You're even giving yourself something and you're not looking for nothing from anybody. So there's a lot of different reasons why people do that. And
Okay.
sometimes you have to search deep to find out why you're doing that. I had was to do that last week or week before for Genius Goals. I had was to search myself
Yeah.
and realize that I was a people pleaser because I was fearful of rejection and abandonment. So I became a people pleaser because of that. And that didn't stop people from rejecting me and abandoning me.
Mm-hmm.
you know. So I realized, you know what? Choose yourself.
You really, really have to choose yourself because just as we were explaining earlier to Marissa, it's not really about life, and what life is, what is happening, because life is going to continue. It is about how you respond, how you manage you know? And then you're realizing as you get older and you learn a lot of different things, you're realizing you don't even need to have an opinion about a lot of things. Because whether you have an opinion, you don't have an opinion, life's still going to send the lessons, whether you like it, you don't like it, the lessons still going to come. You might as well function from neutrality and deal with it as best as you can when it comes. Whether you like it or you don't like it is not going to stop the lesson from coming at
And
all.
Adana, oh,
Hmm.
sorry.
No, go ahead.
I don't know, something. Yes. I want to say that this week I was so proud of myself in that it have a concert coming up and I say, well, I want to go to this concert by myself. I
Hmm.
say, you're taking yourself to this concert. When I went to buy the ticket, I had a choice to buy reserve or general. I say, you're going reserve here, treating yourself.
Uh-huh.
And lo and behold, I have this friend that decide I could come with you, I'll come and I'll pick you up and carry you and I'll bring you back. How about that?
You see?
Well, I find the picking me up and bringing me back home some night. So I say, all right, when I get up the next morning, it's like I hear my soul telling me, why you doing yourself that? Why you going back on what you decide you wanted to do? You say
Oh,
you want to carry yourself out.
yes,
Why did you go back on what it is you say you wanted for yourself?
yes,
You see, and then I say, oh, I'm going back, boy, I make a step backward and I call the person and say, you know what? In the first instance, I wanted to carry myself to that concert and I wanted to be by myself. I say, so I no longer want you to come and go with me. It is quite all right. I will get there and I will get back. Okay? They say, okay, all right then. And I feel proud of myself for that.
yes. Because
But
even
I stand up for me.
yes, yes. Because you would realize once your intention is clear, everything just move out your way. Every single solitary thing moves out your way, and even in your choice, you recognize that the pattern attempted to come back in it. Because you're in a pattern, we are all in patterns. So even if you decide, okay, I want to step outside of this pattern, I want to experience something new, which you did, and even in making the same choices after you say, but wait, no, this was not the intention that was set. The intention that was set is I am taking myself out, and then you, with your clear intention, you call the person, and the person just obliged. The person said, okay, and there was nothing else to it, no hard feelings, no nothing. And that is really what happens when you set your intentions and your intentions are clear. I remember once I had an aunt, she passed away now, and she said the world would step aside for anyone who knows where they're going. And you would realize that once your intention is clear and set, everything steps to the side. But you have to be clear first. And a lot of times when we're not clear and we wishy-washy and we have doubts, all kind of different things happen. And then when you experience that, you're thinking this is what it will be moving forward, you place a limit on yourself. Not realizing that the energy that you gave it is the energy you received. So if you are wishy-washy or if you are unsure, that is what you will receive. But you, Anastasia, in standing your ground, no, this is not what I wanted. The initial intention was this. And once you did it, you would realize, okay. And then you would reach there and you would realize why you were supposed to go by yourself. You might meet somebody new. You never know. So you come back and let us know how it goes, of course.
Yes, I would.
Okay, I'm catching. I saw that you also had your hand raised earlier.
Ah, I am rooting for you. I am rooting for you. I was going to say that sometimes you're not even aware of the fact that you're not even placing yourself on a seat, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes the programming is so deep, the self-neglect is so established that you do not even, you're not even aware. You know, sometimes you say, but why I treating myself like that? You're not even aware that you put yourself so far last.
Yeah.
It's like you put yourself out of sight altogether, of your own sight. So, and that, I don't know, Nicola, the psychologist, will have to say something, but that is really, I think, if I had to look at myself and to recognize that a few years ago is a question of, and sometimes I had to spend time asking, what really happened? What really happened? Because I was one of them. I would take a loan. I watched my older sister dead body. She was dead already. And I'm still there promising to go and take care of her children and this and that. These are not children, these are grown adults, almost 50, one of them. And I will do this for them. And first of all, what is the dead body going to agree to? Nothing. So that was just wasting some talk. But you do not recognize how far you place yourself until you have to sit and face that fact that you place yourself last. You encounter death, you go into all kinds of spasms, just trying to help out other people. But when it comes to you, sometimes you go halfway, you go. So now I get dressed every day. Like people ask me, you going somewhere? I went to the credit union the other day and the lady said, oh, you dress up so you going somewhere? I say, yes, I'm going somewhere. I come right here. This is where I dress to come. And so you start to consciously put yourself first. Look to your desires first. And I could understand, Anastasia, what you were talking about, because I wanted to go somewhere the other day and it sort of kept coming to me to call this one, maybe I could get some company, I could make it a lime. And I had to keep saying to myself, no, this is something you want to go and do. You don't want to be distracted by other people talking in your head, bringing in their own energy and their whatnot. You want to go and enjoy this. You saw it, you sign up for it, you paid your money promptly. You are alone and the heavenly angels going with you. And I went and I had a wonderful time. I made new friends. Well, if you could call them friends, but I made new acquaintances. And it was a wonderful experience. So sometimes you really have to sit in a focused way and say me first. Not being, I don't care about anybody else, but me first. And I actually know a man who used to say, you must put yourself first and second and tie with yourself for third. And I used to find that so disgusting, but I think I now get to the point where I realize what he was saying, because He's one of those persons, whatever he needs, he gets. He focuses on what he wants, and that's it. Anybody else comes trailing after third place. But you're recognizing now with the tools, with the learning, the knowledge, the wisdom that you really, if you don't see yourself for yourself, then who will see you?
Yep.
Who will see you? As they will say, if you don't check for yourself, who will check for you? So yeah, go for it, Anastasia. Go for it. I'm rooting for you. Girl, it's gonna be wonderful.
Yes, of course. And guys, that is really the perspective on life. When you look at the hardships, when you look at, of course, what we deem failures, but they're really not. It's really lessons. It's really lessons. Every day is a lesson. The most difficult of situations, the most difficult of circumstances, the most sad experiences, the most depressing experiences, the most difficult, whatever it is, everything is about a lesson. If you fall off the bike the first time, do you decide to stay there on the ground and set up tent house, shelter everything there? Or do you get up and dust yourself off and continue moving? Just because you are no longer in school does not mean that there is nothing else to learn in life. Even if you're out of school, you could be at work, you could be 86 years old. There is always an opportunity to learn something new. And it is okay to put yourself first. It is okay to make the investment in self. Because if you don't invest in you, what are you pouring? If your cup is empty, what can you pour? A lot of times you're functioning from tired, you're functioning from overwhelming, you're functioning from exhaustion. When was the last time you just slowed down and took a breath? When was the last time you got up in the morning, take a breath, and you say, Self, what is required for today before even proceeding? Sometimes you get up, oh gosh, look at the time, and you start to run. That is why we were talking about last week the importance of building routine and building discipline and a routine so that you could ensure that as you get up in the morning, you check in with you, trust yourself enough to determine what is required for you as an individual before you proceed. Because what is required for one would not be required for the next. But if you don't check in with yourself, then how would you determine what that is? In the stillness, ask your questions. Practice stillness, practice breathing. For those of you who even know about meditation, sometimes you just sit down, take a few deep breaths, calm yourself, see what is required for you for today, what is coming. When the thought comes, do not put it off for tomorrow. Usually that is what we do a lot. I not feeling to do that right now. I will do that tomorrow. Tomorrow may not even have that on the agenda, but you put it off for tomorrow. So then what was supposed to come tomorrow has to come next week because you put off what you were supposed to do today for tomorrow. A lot of times in those split seconds, you do not understand how you are affecting so many other things to come. Because you think I am just putting this one thing off in this moment. No, you are offsetting a lot of different things. You are offsetting your season. You wanted something, it is on its way, but because you put off this one thing, now you might have to wait until October. When you do not function from discipline, order, and obedience, you are affecting so many other things. And this is what was discussed last week for those who was there during these sessions Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. The choices that you make now, it's affecting a lot of other things down the road, but you are unaware. And that is why we really encourage persons to really join during the week, because there is a lot of little nuggets of wisdom that you are missing, and they fit throughout your daily life, and you are totally oblivious and unaware, and you might be stuck in the same space wondering why, and this is why. So certainly reach out to us. if it is something that you are interested in, and remember, this is the purpose of Be Fit Mentor, again, to show you a different way, because there is a different way. You do not have to continue as you are overwhelmed. And even sometimes when we have sessions, you're realizing everybody experiencing the same thing and nobody don't want to talk about it. Everybody experiencing the same thing. And as they start to talk, well, you going through that too? You going, yes. There is another way to live. And you're thinking that you're alone and there is no help, where I have nobody to help me. But if you don't open your mouth and if you don't say something, you got to reach out to us. You can schedule a consultation. We have the app if you're not ready to talk as yet to support you. We have social media if you're not ready to talk as yet to support you. But with premium membership, you have the classes. You even have access to the workout sessions online if it is something that you are interested in. Because as I said before, exercise is a very important component that is often overlooked because it requires effort. I know. I am feeling it now. But you have to ensure that the entire being is working together as one. And we also have the Genius Goals questions. So the Genius Goals is really the opportunity for you to practice what you have been learning. So every week you log on to the app, you answer a question, and you have the opportunity to win tickets for two to St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And it is not, the thing with answering the question is that you have to internalize the question before you answer, because you have to make it specific to you, because you are an individual. And in doing so, you would recognize you really have to search yourself before you answer. And that is the purpose of the Genius Goals question. It is really your opportunity to say, okay, when I encounter this, this is how I would deal with it. And you're not realizing that in doing that, you're really mapping out how you're going to deal with new situations when they come, so that when it comes, you say, wait, no, I thought of this already, so let me try this. So even if you answer and stating that in moving forward, I would like to do this, when the opportunity arises, you get to put it into practice. And that is how you move from where you were to where you would like to be. You really have to put the things into practice. So for tonight, let me read what is the question for you. So this would also be posted on social media. So even if you don't get it, that's fine. So tonight's question states, failure is never the end of the road, just an opportunity to navigate and learn something new. After experiencing failure, I will dust myself off, take a deep breath, and so it's a three-part question. One, identify the problem or challenge. And guys, you have to list whatever it is. It could be something in the past, it could be something you're experiencing now. Number two, identify the lesson learned from the experience, because this is also very important, because there is always something to learn in the moment. And the third part, list the new ways in which you can move forward whenever hardship occurs. So let me read it over. Failure is never the end of the road, just an opportunity to navigate and learn something new. After experiencing failure, I will dust myself off. Take a deep breath. Remember, the purpose of the deep breath is to ensure that you are functioning from neutrality. And then you answer the three-part question. So do we have any other questions, concerns, queries before we end tonight's session? No? So guys, whatever you experience this week, if you get up and you see a flat tire, that is not failure. Remember, it is your opportunity. You probably was going to work too early. You needed to go a little later. So look at it. Look at the bigger picture. Sometimes you're not recognizing everything else that is connected. So as it comes, remember, it is not failure. It is an opportunity to learn, expand, and grow. So thank you all for logging in to tonight's session. All right.
Good night.
Thank you.
One thing
Good night.
before I close, I would send it in the group in the morning. I know. All right. Some of you, Amalisa and Khadija, you all are not in the group, right? The WhatsApp group. No.
No, I'm not.
No.
Okay, so if it is something that you are interested in, because I will send the information there.
Mr. S as well.
Say that again.
Mr. S as well.
Oh yes,
S.
yes. If it is something that you are interested in, you could take this number. So the contact number is 336 1809, and let me repeat it again. The contact number is 336 1809.
And for the people outside of Trinidad,
It's
1868.
1836 So let me just share my screen with you quickly. Just to let you all know that for those of you who are not yet premium members, you have the opportunity to, you have the opportunity to access the classes for 7 days. So it's a 7-day pass. So if you go in the app, of course, this is the app. But this is the mood board. So you have to go to the flow zone, and that is where you would find this, which is the 7-day pass. So you would have access to the group fitness activities, mindset mastery, goal achievement. So you would explore premium workouts and programs, join the live coaching sessions, access the developmental workshops, dive into the Balance Center for more mindset tools, track goals, unlock rewards, and more. So you have 7 days, and if you would like to claim your free 7-day pass, you could WhatsApp us 7pass to 336-1809 for the persons outside of Trinidad 1868 before the number, or you could tap here to activate your journey. All right. So once you activate your journey, you have 7 days to access the classes and everything that we have going on. So if you are interested, please sign up. When you sign up, you would understand what everybody else is experiencing. So for now, you're unsure and you're not aware, but you have a 7-day pass. So once you sign up, you would certainly understand what the others are experiencing. So does everybody understand? Do you need any more information? Yes? All right. So I hope to see some of you all take the opportunity to really experience it, especially this week where we will be discussing guilt. So guys, have a wonderful, wonderful night. Have a wonderful week, and we would see you all back here. Same place, same time next Monday, and see some of you tomorrow as well. But guys, make sure you have to register, because if you don't, you will not get the link to log on for the sessions, right? So you really have to tap and make sure you register. All right, guys.
Make sure you tag on this time.
Yes.
Good night.
All right. Good
Good
night.
night.
Good night. Good night. Bye.
Bye. Bye.